we go along, and we'll be able to tell you a bit about what we have that we're looking down the line in future generations that are kind of coming into the industry and into the business as well. So with that, I think maybe we will go ahead and we'll dive into our first wine this evening.
Sounds great.
The first wine tonight, as you see on your lineup, is going to be from Bora Vineyards, and it's the Nuvola. And this is a story of multi-generational families working together, and some entrepreneurial spirit kind of all coming together in one beautiful bottle. I've shared some Bora Vineyards wines before. This is the 2013 Artist Series Nuvola Gewürztraminer. The Boras are a grape growing family who actually, Steve Bora started one of the first wineries. He's one of the original kind of folks here in the region. And his winemaker, Marcus Niggli, is of Swiss descent, so it's kind of a European collaboration. Steve Bora's family is originally from Piedmont, and so you get this Piedmontese and Swiss collaboration, and they're working with the Koch family of McCollum Glen Vineyards in sourcing some great German and Austrian varietal grapes. So why don't we go ahead and taste this, and we can talk a little bit more about it.
Wow, that's a lovely wine. Very minerally, very dry.
It's very dry. It's got some very different notes to it than what you expect out of a Gewürztraminer, and I think it's coming out of that dry style rather than having that sugar to it. It's got some of those almost tropical notes to it that I kind of get mid-palate. It's got a bright acidity to it. There's very minimal sugar. Done at about 0.49, I believe, on the sugar grams per liter. So you get just enough to get a little bit of that Gewürztraminer character, but that we come to expect. But this is nice.
I get lemon and green apple on this also, but definitely the minerality reminds me very much of a European wine. Very much so.
Well, and I think that absolutely is testament to Marcus Niggli's European heritage, to the Swiss heritage, and bringing that German-Austrian style to the table. The Koch family, who are the grape growers for these grapes, have arguably the largest collection of German and Austrian varietal or variety grapes in the country, and they have some very esoteric and interesting varieties that you don't see outside of Europe. Dornfelder and Kerner. Yeah, a lot of Gewürztraminer. There's just some beautiful grapes that are being grown out there. About 40 different varieties of German and Austrian grapes, and I think that speaks to obviously their heritage. Which is pretty special, and speaks to the immigrant nature of folks who came and established the community, the farming community here in Lodi. And then to me, this is just such a wonderful European collaboration with the German, the Swiss, and the Italian kind of all coming together. So this is a fantastic wine. I see some of the folks are also sharing our love for it. Jenna loves it. Agreed, Cliff. The honeysuckle, that's a great marker right there.
Temperature variation in Lodi between night and day. That it can be 100 degrees during the day in the hot summer, and 60 degrees at night. So it's usually a 40, sometimes 50 degree swing.
Absolutely.
We get very cool evenings here, and that helps the grapes cool off. And actually, we've studied the Rhone region in France, and it's almost identical to the Rhone. It's 2 degrees warmer in Lodi in the summer during the day, but 2 degrees cooler than Rhone at night. So it's very similar, yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't really realize, that coastal, we do have a very much so Mediterranean coastal influence here still, and we're not much different. I was looking earlier today at some of the other major grape growing regions in the state, and we're actually either cooler or right at the same temperature than other parts of the state. And so, I think we can do a lot of wonderful things with that. And our soils vary so greatly in this region that when you couple the temperature differential that we get along with our varied soil profiles, we're able to really experiment and try with new and different wine grape varieties in our vineyards, and finding that a lot of them are quite successful, as you've exemplified.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And I want to say some things about Marcus. The Bora family's great, and they grow lots of different wines, and they have lots of different whites in addition to this one. They do a Viognier, and they have the Kerner Riesling in addition to the Gewürztraminer, and they also do a Chardonnay out at Gill Creek Ranch. But then they're also known for their Syrah, Petit Syrah, Zinfandel, and Barbera. And but I had asked Marcus what he would pair with this for barbecue, for 4th of July barbecue, and he said a spicy barbecue, salad, and seafood dishes. But he also said to let you know there's only 12 cases of this wine left, so if you're interested, make sure to get online. You can order it online.
Sure.
But McCullamy Glen that you were mentioning has about 5 tons of the Gewürztraminer, and there's 15 acres of it in the Lodi appellation, and there's 1,600 acres of it in California. So,
it is pretty unique and pretty special wine. It's a collaboration again between the families. The label itself is also a bit of a collaboration, which I think is kind of cool. You see the very kind of artistic style label. It was actually designed by a graphic design student at the University of the Pacific in Stockton, just down the road a little ways. And Marcus has done that with a number of other labels at Bora Vineyards as well, in really trying to give students an opportunity to enter into the wine industry and hone their craft in the graphic side of things. So it's a lot of fun. I like to think too that, outside of 4th of July, even though that's coming up here pretty quick, I would love to see this with some spicy food, spicy Thai, spicy Asian food, something like stir fry, especially where you get that kind of crispness of some of the vegetables like the water chestnuts and the baby corns and things in a stir fry. I think this would hold up really nicely to kind of that crunchy crisp. It would pair well.
It would be great, yeah. And it's fun that Marcus is doing these little tiny lots. This is only 71 cases. So he's doing these fun little lots, and they make about 5,000 cases of wine. And Marcus has been with Bora since 2006, and Wine Enthusiast just did a great article about him this month, so that would be fun to look up about Marcus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, it's a fun wine, so hopefully you enjoyed the wine as well, and you have a chance to continue to try some of the Bora Vineyards. Not in broad distribution. The price point on this is at about $19, and like Sue mentioned, you can get it by contacting the winery direct. BoraVineyards.com is their website, and they'd be more than happy to ship you some wine. So hopefully you enjoyed that.
Great.
Move on.
Do we have to dump it out?
I know, that's one of the bummers.
It's like a sin.
We have to drive home this evening.
That's
too.
true. I wish I was at home like these people are at home. They don't have to drive anywhere, though.
Absolutely. We'll go with the next one.
Okay.
Oops, sorry.
The Garnacha Blanca from Bokish.
Absolutely. This is the 2013 Garnacha Blanca. So we'll go to Spain on this one. From Europe, or from middle part of Europe into Spain. Again, the 2013 Garnacha Blanca from Bokish Vineyards. This is another testament to some folks who still call themselves newcomers as well, even though they've been around for about 20 years or 25 years now. Marcus and Liz Bokish have a love for all things Spanish, speaking back to Marcus's heritage, which is he's from Spain, his family's from Spain, and they still travel back quite often and wanted to bring a little bit of Spain here. So they've brought some beautiful Spanish varietals to the region, and we're finding that they're doing phenomenally well here. Garnacha Blanca is one example of some of the whites that they're doing. They also do Verdelos or Verdejos and a beautiful Albarino. The Bokishes are also extremely committed to the land and to the community, and all of their wines are made from certified green Lodi rules for sustainable wine growing grapes, and that really is a testament to what we do here. Our Lodi Rules program is the first of its kind, and one of the only, actually it is the only, third-party accredited, certified sustainable wine growing program in the country. And it really is an intensive, over 100 different criteria that people need to go through to have their grapes certified. And it takes in holistic practices, everything from soil to people. And it's really about doing the right thing, quantifying that we're doing the right thing, and putting things forward for future generations to come into our vineyards, continue growing beautiful grapes and making great wines from them. So the Garnacha Blanca is exactly another example. One of the things one of the reasons too, I wanted to invite Susan and the winemaker from Beaukish and Liz Beaukish, is we have some phenomenal women involved in our industry here in Lodi, and Sue is one of those, and is really doing some trend-setting and unique things in the cellar and in your vineyards, and so thank you for being a pioneering woman in the Lodi wine industry. And Elise, who's the winemaker at Beaukish, is another one of our fantastic female winemakers involved in our industry. There's also some wonderful women doing work at Lang Twins and Lucas Winery and Toasted Toad and some of the other wineries in town. So we've got a budding female population involved in the wine industry, which I think is fantastic here in our region. But why don't we go ahead and taste the Garnacha Blanca a little bit? We can talk about.
I was tasting while you were talking.
You have to sometimes drink to deal with me. My wife tells me the same thing, so it's okay.
Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. And we make a Grenache Blanc, we call it. So we make a French varietal. It's a clone of the Spanish varietal, Garnacha Blanca. This is really lovely, though. It's I get a lot of peach on this, but I think the thing I like about the Garnacha Blanca or Grenache Blanc clones are the mouthfeel is so different for a white. And another thing with the Garnacha Blanca is it shows well at any temperature. So it can be chilled out of the refrigerator, or it can be almost room temperature, and it's still very lovely. So it doesn't shut down cold like some whites can.
It does. You're right. It has a very different mouthfeel. It's almost got a creamy, silky mouthfeel to it that's really nice, but yet has that crispness and that brightness of some of the tropical fruits, or in the pear. But I think it has that pear-esque quality on my palate. I think that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's like at the mid-palate, it really is a roundness that you get. But I get I do get the, definitely the apricot and the peach. And they're saying this pairs beautifully with cheese and fruit, tapas, grilled shrimp. But then I asked Liz about it, and she said she would pair it with some grilled pork chops and grilled apricots. She thinks that would be a great pairing on the barbecue. And they are sustainably farming 2,500 acres in Lodi. And they moved from Yountville to Lodi back in 1996. So there's 272 acres of Grenache Blanc, or Garnacha Blanca, in California. So it's taken a while for this varietal to get over here.
Right.
But as the wine writers know, I'm sure John Bonnet is a huge fan of Grenache Blanc, and so I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the future.
I think so, and I think it just, like you said, it just has such a different profile that goes so nicely in so many different directions with food, but temperature. It's a very versatile wine. Very, very nice.
And if you've ever been to one of their pickup parties, oh my goodness, it's just amazing. They have all Spanish foods, and I think there's a waiting list to get into the pickup parties because they have all homemade foods and paellas and wonderful. Yeah, they all go well with their wines. So they do all kinds of Spanish varietals, not just the Garnacha Blanca, but they just won a wonderful award for their Verdejo. Right,
yeah. Which is another really nice, beautiful wine.
Beautiful wine, yes.
So there was a comment, it was interesting, what other Spanish varietals do they have at Beaukish? And they do, in the whites they have the Verdejo, they also have Albarino, but they have Verdelho. Then they're doing a Rosado, they also have a Tempranillo. Oh gosh, who's got them all right here for me to make it easier? And a Monastrell, which a lot of folks haven't ever tried a California Monastrell, and so it truly is bringing Iberian varietals to Lodi, and that's pretty fantastic to be able to taste a little bit of Spain and Portugal right here in our region.
Lovely wines.
So beautiful wine. Hopefully you're enjoying this one as well.
So food friendly, that's for sure. Smoked cheddar.
I could definitely see some cheddar, or even something really rich, a rich cheese that's got a spice or a tang to it. I could go with a little bit of a point raised blue cheese or something like that.
I like goat cheese with Garnacha Blanc. So goat cheese really brings out the acidity in a Garnacha Blanc.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever tried halloumi? It's a Greek goat cheese that you can grill, actually, and the smokiness that you get off the char on a halloumi, I was just thinking, could go phenomenally well with
It's not the one they light on fire.
It's not. You can actually slice it, and you can put it on the grill, and it doesn't melt. It just gets a char on it. It's a fantastic one. So there's a new little tip for everybody. Halloumi and Garnacha Blanc or Garnacha Blanca. Fantastic. Well, I hate to have to pour that one out as well. But unfortunately, we want to make sure that we all get the chance to, we can talk and we get the chance to try some of these other wines. So the next one, I think has a little bit of a special place in maybe your heart.
I think so. So this is my 2013 Viognier, and I have only an acre of Viognier, and I made 268 cases of this varietal. And I think, unlike some Viogniers, it tends to be crisper, drier. There's no residual sugar. My favorite pairing with this, actually, we had a winemaker dinner and we featured a lamb tagine that had lamb with some dried apricots, cilantro, and a little bit of goat cheese. It was amazing.
Wow.
And a lot of our customers couldn't believe that you could pair a white wine with a red meat, and so it was such a huge hit that it opened people's eyes. But another pairing with this, arugula, it can stand up to really big flavors for a white wine. So that's why when we have arugula, we always bring out the Viognier, and then you'll get the peachiness coming out, and it really accents really strong flavors.
Sure. You get that the nice floral quality out of there. I could see balancing kind of that spicy peppery of the arugula really, really nicely. It's very nice. Now, explain to folks how your story goes. How did you come to
make wine?
To make wine, to make white wines, and to go with the...
So I fell in love with a white Chateauneuf de Pape wine about 6 years ago now. I thought it was the best wine I had ever had, and so instead of thinking I will go ahead and plant it, I thought, where can I buy it? And I realized that it's not that easy to come by, that 20% of all of the Chateauneuf de Pape whites, or 20% of the wines in Chateauneuf de Pape are whites, so they export to 50 different countries, and depending on the year, it's really hard to get this beautiful wine. And so I started to focus on the Rhones. I started with Grenache Blanc, and then went ahead and planted the others. And Viognier was part of that mix. So Viognier actually goes in our blend, which is my homage to a Chateauneuf de Pape white. But we get all of our cuttings from Château Beaucastel through Tablas Creek Winery. So they're all French clones, and I think that they add quite a uniqueness for the varietal. I have a lot of people walk in the tasting room saying they're not too crazy about Viognier, and as soon as they try it, they're like, well, this isn't the Viognier that I remember. And I think there are styles with higher alcohol. I try to keep at 14%. It's a little high for me, but I try to keep them really in line so that you can taste the fruit and you don't get some of the stronger characteristics Viognier has. When you try the varietal on the vine, which is something I ask you to come out and do during harvest, taste the varietal you will taste this wine. It tastes exactly like the wine.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So, and we do that in the tasting room. We drag people out to the vineyard and have them try it, and them try the wine side by side, and it's quite an experience. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
So now you're doing the Viognier, and you've got the Bel Blanc.
Yes, and I also have a Roussanne that goes into the Bel Blanc. All of it went into the Bel Blanc this year. And then I also am doing a rosé. So I have a red Grenache rosé, and that one just won Best of Class in the California State Fair.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And I have a Picpoul Blanc, which is the unusual one. There's less than 10 acres of Picpoul in the U.S., and unfortunately mine all sells out within a few weeks' time, but it's a fun one to try. So.
Now, how did you come to plant the varieties that you did on your vineyard, and how are you finding that they do? Are there distinguishing characteristics that you find successful in this part of the world and in the Mokelumne River area?
Yeah, I think it's really fun. I'll take Picpoul for example, and so just to let you know that it's pretty rare, and it's not featured here today, but we poured at the Rhone Rangers in San Francisco. There were 500 wines poured, and I had the only single varietal Picpoul. But if you try Picpoul de Pinet in France, it's much more acidic of a wine, and I can see where they go with it with mussels and shellfish. But in Lodi, you get a nice fruit characteristic. So in Lodi, if you grow these varietals, you don't have to have malolactic fermentation because they already have a very nice mouthfeel. You don't have to add oak if you choose not to, because you don't need to cover up anything, in my opinion. You want to focus on the fruit forwardness of the wines. So that's been a lot of fun to experiment with my wines versus other regions where they're grown. Absolutely.
Now, your wines are stainless?
Yes, all stainless steel. They go right into the bottle in January, and then I have been closing up every year because I've been selling out of wine, but I've been opening in March with the new wines. So, and a wine like this Viognier, I think we would pair with probably ceviche or grilled scallops, or like I said, the lamb tagine would be great, and arugula. But it's fun. It's been a really fun ride, and we've really enjoyed it, and I feel very pleased to be part of Lodi.
We're happy to have you here, and this is a lovely wine, and it's exciting. Tell us a little bit about the bottle, because it's different.
Okay. All right.
It's different than a lot of wine bottles.
This is a French bottle, so the bottles come from France. They're a little spendy. As the owner and the winemaker, I got to choose my bottle, and this bottle represents a bottle in Provence, basically. So there's a lot of rosés in similar bottles in Provence. But I also say it has my body shape, only my neck's not quite that long. So it's my homage to myself, I guess. But no.
It's fun. My wife loves the bottles. We, when we enjoy them, she holds on to them, and we use them in backyard parties. And she'll put flowers in them, and they become upcycled for vases all of a sudden.
That's great. Yeah, reuse them.
They're beautiful bottles. So very, very nice, and the wine inside is quite nice as well.
Thank you.
What do you see as the future potential for white wines and for wines of your style that you make in this region?
Well, I think that the reception I've received in the tasting room is amazing. I mean, everyone that walks in the tasting room already has found Lodi and loves Lodi wines, but they're loving the fact that we're doing more whites. And I'm just excited to see more winemakers, just since I came on the scene, playing with more fun whites in Lodi. And I think it's pretty much limitless. And that's another fun thing, too, is it seems like when people buy reds, they kind of put them on their shelf, and then they acquire them. But with whites, they put them in their refrigerator, and then they drink them. So they're always running out of white wine, so that's kind of fun.
And if you're around our house, it's any kind of wine. It doesn't last a whole lot. But that's kind of our philosophy. Wine is meant to be enjoyed and shared with family and friends, and I think you hit it on the head. That's really a large portion of kind of the personality and the philosophy here, though, too, both in white wines, but in any of our wines in our region. We're really pleased to have a great quality bottle of wine at price points that are very, very approachable for folks, and so they can be proud to take a bottle to family dinner or to a dinner party or out with family and friends and say, here, this is something from Lodi, and we're happy to share it with you and try something new, exciting, and different. And that's one of our hallmarks here in our region. Somebody, Vinogre from San Francisco, did you set out to do only white wine? Because you don't have only white grapes in your vineyard, do you?
Right. I also have 12 acres of Zinfandel. And I started making reds. So about 10 plus years ago, I started making reds, and I actually found them pretty easy to make. I wouldn't say they were the best reds I've ever had, for sure, but they were relatively easy to make, and I always was focused on trying to get the rosé right and trying to get the whites right. And so that I almost became obsessed with trying to do it correctly. And so that's when I decided I'm going to just focus on it and do it right. And so I do love all wines, and all whites, but I love all well-made wines. So it's not that I just drink them, but I just wanted to be able to have a product that I was proud of. And so I just, and I was told initially by a few well-meaning people that it'll never work if you just have whites and not reds. And then I told those well-meaning people that I would just drink them if I can't sell them, but I did, and I didn't even have wine for Christmas that year, so I was. And we're going to be actually taking out 6 acres of our Zinfandel and planting some more of these whites, and hopefully a few more fun ones that are just brought over from France, if we can get our hands on them. So I don't think Lodi will miss 6 acres of Zin, but hopefully not. Yeah.
So we'll definitely enjoy 6 acres of something new and fun that you're doing.
Good.
So very much looking forward to it.
Great.
There was a question a few minutes ago, and Nancy's letting in on a little local secret. There's a great fundraising event down at Pixie Woods coming up here soon, and she asked the question if you were going to be participating in that this year.
I will definitely check into it. I haven't been approached.
Okay. Fantastic. So this is another beautiful wine, and if you ever have the chance to come and visit Sue, she does a really fun pairing adventure in her tasting room, where she actually has great little bites that go with each one of the wines that pair nicely. Each one of your wines is beautiful on their own, but they complement food so nicely too that it's a fun kind of experience to be able to come in and taste.
Well, thank you. And this one in particular is a fun pairing. I make a cannellini bean hummus with cilantro and lime, and it's served on a tortilla chip. And so another reason you can have very large flavors like the cilantro and the lime, which are really bold. They go really well with this wine.
Absolutely.
So.
Well,
thanks.
This is definitely a wine that will hold up to a lot of big, bold flavors. So thank you for sharing it with us. And again, this wine is through the tasting room only, correct?
Yes, we're through the tasting room.
Or here at the Lodi Wine and Visitor Center.
We've got some here at the Wine Center.
We do. So you have a secondary tasting room.
Right.
We'll call it that. Hate to have to pour that one out as well, but it's time to move on to the Heritage Oak Sauvignon Blanc. And again, this is one, as I mentioned previously, one of the white wine grapes here in Lodi that we are a leading producer in the state of California with. This is the 2013 Heritage Oak Winery Estate-Grown Sauvignon Blanc. This is a nice Sauv Blanc. The Hoffman family, Tom and Carmela Hoffman, are the proprietors out at Heritage Oak, but they are 5th generation family. In fact, we're very fortunate. One of their children, Dr. Matthew Hoffman, works with us here in the at the Winegrape Commission, and so that maybe the 6th generation will be out working at the winery at some point in the future. I'm not going to let go of him anytime soon, but we want to hold on to his skills and abilities around here. But Tom is making some great small lot wines. They've been growing grapes for a long time. They have a beautiful spot along the McCollumney River. One of the other things that I think is so indicative of our region is we're bisected by a couple of different waterways throughout the broader Lodi wine grape growing region. And the McCollumney is kind of our hallmark river that cuts through our area and flows from the Sierra Nevada mountain range out towards the San Francisco Bay and in through the Delta. And they have this beautiful spot along the McCollumney River that they've been doing a lot of habitat restoration work, really taking and bringing the river and the areas right around there back to native habitat, allowing for native vegetation and bird species. I think there's something like 50 different or 150 different bird species that have been identified out there now that they've been doing this habitat restoration work. And that's just a testament to the land that they're working on, that their family has been farming for many generations. But the wine grapes are what their farming operation is today. And Tom grows a number of different wine grapes and makes small lot wines. Similar story, sells some of his grapes to other wineries, but then saves some to make his own very special wines. And the Sauvignon Blanc is one of those that that he's held back a little bit for, and has just a really, really nice profile to it. So maybe we can go ahead and taste this one and talk some more.
Yes, it's lovely. And I asked Tom what he would pair this with. Tom is actually my closest wine neighbor. He's just 2 miles away from my winery, and he's also been a great help to me. He's been ingrained in the wine community a lot longer than he actually has had a tasting room open. And he says he mostly enjoys this with cheeses and a soft cheese, a creamier cheese rather than a sharp one. And he likes it usually before a meal rather than during the meal. But if he's going to have it with a meal, it would be crab cakes made with fresh, real crab. And I asked if he was going to have this for a barbecue or 4th of July. He said he'd pair it with hot dogs, watermelon, sunshine, and a swimming pool.
Sounds pretty darn patriotic, actually. Yeah. As I am, also used no oak on his whites. He says he's a no oak white wine maker, and I think that here again you can see the nice fruitiness that comes from the Sauvignon Blanc. And it's his most popular wine, and he has quite a few wines. It's his most popular wine, and he's adding Pinot Grigio to the lineup this year. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah, so he'll have 4 whites on his tasting room menu, and he's also really known for his Zins. He's got a Sangiovese, a Tempranillo, a Cabernet, and fun place to visit. And they have bird tours out there too. They have bird tours, I think once a month or so in the summer. So. And really wants people to take an experience.
Yes.
What his family has done to restore the river, and you can go from the tasting room and buy a bottle of wine. There's these beautiful picnic tables that are a walk through the vineyards, away down along the river underneath the heritage oak trees, aptly named, and you can sit down along the river and watch as it kind of lazily flows past you and enjoy a fantastic bottle of wine and a wonderful picnic on a really relaxing afternoon. And I think that that's really a lot of Tom and Carmela's personality in a lot of ways. They're very relaxed, very approachable, really want people to come out and just enjoy themselves and to really have the opportunity to take the wines, learn a little bit about their story, and to just enjoy being around with family and friends.
Right.
So this one has a lot of great citrus. It's very clean.
Grapefruit and lemon, and I really enjoy this wine. And there's about 15,000 acres of Sauvignon Blanc in California and about 2,000 in Lodi. So we have quite a bit of Sauv Blanc.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think Tom said he thinks we actually grow more Sauv Blanc than any other wine region. So,
well, and I think it does really well here. And there's different clones of Sauvignon Blanc being grown in our region, and so when you try Sauvignon Blanc from one winery, you may be trying a different clone than you may be from another, and so you're going to get different flavor profiles. And that's kind of fun because it's an adventure in Sauvignon Blanc when you're tasting through Lodi. And this is just one of those fantastic ones. I like that he said you could pair this with watermelon.
Yeah, I think that would be really good.
I think it would be too. Like I was actually just thinking, a watermelon salad with a little bit of goat cheese and mint to it, or even a little bit of basil, kind of where you get a little bit of that creaminess and that fresh brightness of the watermelon. This could pair really, really quite nicely with that. But
I think it's lovely.
I do too. And
I'll take the bottle home.
You might have to fight some of that for it, but that's a fight that's worth it, I think. So again, this is limited production on this. This is about 325 cases produced. Tom has been receiving some great accolades lately for some of his wines. This is a great award-winning wine. He also, for his Zin Head, Zinfandel just received a nice score of 90 from Wine Enthusiast. So again, he's honing his craft both in the vineyard and in the cellar. And so we're finding that more and more of our wines, as Sue mentioned, some of the accolades she's received lately, Heritage Oak, another one. You go down the list. Lodi wines are receiving acclaim and accolades for what's being done in the vineyards and in our cellars, left and right, from competitions and wine judges and ratings alike. So it's fun. It's a fun time to be here in Lodi. We're building a lot of excitement and enthusiasm and energy around our region, and telling our story, and people are listening and wanting to share that around the world. And I think it's due recognition for the hard work that you all put in the vineyards and in the wineries.
We just have to get these winemakers to give up a few bottles to enter them in competitions. They can so easily sell some of these amazing wines right out of the tasting room, but we have to get the word out too. So.
Yep. And then for some of you might need to make a few more bottles here.
Yeah, that's
just a gentle nudge there, because you make some great wines. So. It's a good problem to have when you don't have wine for your Christmas table. But for the rest of us, we may want to have some of it on our Christmas table.
True, we'll do some more.
So, is everybody enjoying this wine as well? I think what we're seeing, there's some good feedback.
Great.
It's funny that you mentioned, there's a comment here that Heritage Oak, is there a Heritage Oak on the property of the winery? Because ironically, they don't use oak in their white wines. There's a number of Heritage Oak trees on property.
Yeah, and they use oak in their reds.
That's true. So there is some oak on property in addition to the oak trees. But I think that, you find that in these areas there's a lot of Heritage Oak trees that have been growing, and a lot of our grape growers have taken great strides to plant their vineyards around oak trees to protect and preserve what Mother Nature has given us in our landscape. And in the different various parts of our growing region, you go everywhere from the Delta all the way up to kind of the rolling red hills on the eastern side, where you're getting a little bit more of the volcanic soil profile. And you see that in that terrain the vegetation changes as well. And you see the oak trees, and then you see the oak groves that begin to crop up. And we're not a homogeneous region at all, and people really like to showcase the beauty that is naturally here, and protect that in planting their vineyards around that natural beauty that existed, because we want to be able to have beautiful landscapes and beautiful places to grow beautiful wine grapes and make wines.
That's right.
So again, this one is limited production, retails at $18. Again, another great price point for you. So
this will sell out for sure.
Absolutely sell out for sure. So if you'd like to get some, head on over to Heritage Oak Winery if you're close by. If you're not so close by, we still invite you to come over and visit, or you can get online and visit them virtually, and read some more about the Hoffman family history and the things that they're doing out at Heritage Oak Winery. Why don't we drive right on over to our little taste of dessert. But another fantastic wine. This is from Uvaggio Winery, the 2012 Moscato Secco. And this is from winemaker and proprietor Jim Moore. And Jim is one of our champions of Lodi from afar. Jim is actually a Napa-based winery who does all of his grapes are sourced here in Lodi. and is very proud to put Lodi on the label of everything that he does, because he sees that sourcing great grapes to make wonderful wines is what it's really about, not necessarily where you make the wine. Jim is of Mondavi winery heritage, not heritage, but training.
20 years.
20 years at Mondavi, and then started his own winery back in the late 90s, I believe it was, and has been doing some very interesting white and red varieties, all Italian for the most part. I think he is adding a Zinfandel this year. In addition to his Primitivo. So there's the Primitivo Zinfandel debate going on, but he does some beautiful white wines, including Vermentinos, a couple of different Moscatos. But this is the Moscato Secco. And so why don't we go ahead and taste this one?
That's great. Wow, they get a lot of perfume on that. Really.
Just sitting there, I could just keep my nose in there.
Yeah.
That's a really nice perfumed nose on there. It's just
ginger. I could see this with ginger too. It would really go well with a dish that had a lot of ginger. I've been eating a lot of Korean food lately, and I'm thinking of a nice teriyaki sauce that has the ginger in it. Would be really good with this.
That would be. It is amazing, actually. I can't say that I've had a lot of wines that have such a beautiful ginger profile to them, but this really is. It really stands out for me. Not only on the nose, but mid-palate. I get a lot of the ginger to the side, middle part of my palate that kind of has that tanginess in a sense, but in a beautifully perfumed way. This is just a fun wine, and I think you're right. I could also go sweeter, I think, with this one. For whatever reason, when I think Moscato, I think of dessert.
Oh, okay.
But I would go with kind of a tart apple pie with sharp cheddar cheese melted over the top with
that
this.
Would be good.
And I think it could be fun. But I think you're right. I think it could definitely hold up with some spicy Korean food as well. What did Jim say to pair it with?
Jim said that spicy Asian, such as Thai or Burmese, which I've never had Burmese, I don't believe, but many Indian curry dishes, which I could definitely see with this wine, and bolder seafood preparations, including ceviche. And he says he thinks it has a utility similar to Viognier. So the flavors that would go with Viognier would go well with this wine. And for grilling, he thought a grilled chicken topped with a fruit salsa or chutney would be really nice with that. And I think he's right on with this one.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So they're known for their Vermentino, though, aren't they? The Lodi Vermentino.
Yep. And you know, Vermentino isn't widely planted.
Right.
And it's kind of a fun variety that we can share here out of our region that's not really grown in many other places.
Yeah, and he was telling me too that the cultivar Moscato Giallo hasn't really been designated by the TTB as a cultivar yet.
Right.
There's only 40 acres of the varietal in California, and probably a lot less than that around here. So that's why he's calling it Secco for dry, but he's not using the varietal. Just using a Moscato to cover the varietal. But they also do a sweeter Moscato, the Dolce. And he's doing two reds this year, Primitivo and Barbera, that have just been picked up by Whole Foods in Northern California.
Oh, fantastic. And some of Jim's wines can be found in different markets throughout the country and even abroad.
Yeah.
I know that he's got some interest in has some of his wines up in Canada, as well as I think he may have some in the UK and in European markets too. So this is a wine. Jim's philosophy is find the wine grapes that grow in the right region to express themselves beautifully in the wines that he's making them with. And I think that he's hit the nail on the head with this one. And you know, it's funny because I am to a certain extent that stereotypical wine consumer that, like I said, when I thought of Moscato, I went directly to the overly sweet, but this is not that sugar sweet, overly sweet at all. It's actually that dryness is really nice in there, and that's where I get that strong, sharper flavors that I think it would pair with nicely. But this is a lot of fun. Is there I'm sorry, but we're looking at a question. Another great group. Is there a style that they don't do uniquely and well? I think pretty much everything that's done is unique and done well. Here in our region, we are very, very versatile. And our winemakers, as Sue exemplifies and all of these wines exemplify, these folks are doing things and not afraid to try breaking the mold or trying something different in the cellars and working with the grape growers to make sure that they're getting the grapes right, and our grape growers are working to do the right thing in the vineyards to make really unique and different styled wines.
And too, that we're smaller operations than most of us, tasting room wise, so we're not going to make wines that don't sell.
Right.
So if they're not good, they're not going to sell, and so you won't see them in Lodi. But and we just keep making more of the things that people get excited about.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good point.
You can't do it very long. You can't.
You can't. And we have the exact opposite happening here in Lodi. I think all of our wineries continue to up the game and up the ante as we go, and we're seeing more and more wineries and tasting rooms open all the time. We're up to about 65 tasting rooms here in our region now, and I can think of another 3 or 4 that are going to be opening up in the next couple of months. So I think that's a real testament to the work that's been done in the vineyards and cellars here for many years, and what the potential is for this future, for the future of this region. I think there's just a lot of great things to come for Lodi, and I think folks like Jim from outside of the region, who's coming in and sourcing and making beautiful wines that are more broadly in the market, to folks who are like yourself that are making beautiful wines that are being sold over the tasting room counter. Those are the things that are really going to help Lodi move forward, and really it's about all of us working together. And I think that's one of the most special things outside of our phenomenal wines and our beautiful vineyards, is the fact that this region is about collaboration and cooperation and working together, so that we're all moving forward together. And that's one of the things that I absolutely enjoy about working here with all of you folks.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me tonight, because I think that this is just great. I feel very fortunate to be part of this community and to be able to share these wines with everyone here.
Well, and as always, as we come close to the end of our hour with you all tonight, we hope that you enjoyed all of the wines tonight. We hope that for those of you who have been here to visit us in person in Lodi, that you have the chance to come back and visit us again soon. And for those of you who haven't been here, please, we extend a very warm invitation to you all to come and join us here. You can contact the folks at Charles Communications or our office here at the Lodi Winegrape Commission. Please feel free to reach out with any questions that you may have at any time. But again, we want to extend a warm invitation to you all to come and visit us, experience our fantastic wines. This is just the tip of the iceberg that we have before you today. But come and meet our people, experience our wine region, and we hope that we will see you all very, very soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
And thank you, Sue, for being here. Really